What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Today is Saturday, September 9th, day number 39 inside the Big Brother house. And oh boy, we have a lot of things to go over. We might have seen the best non-vote blindside that we've ever seen in Big Brother history. Not only was the entire house blindsided, all of us were blindsided. We also might have some information, a little bit of Ori theory time that we're going to go over at the end of this video that might change some of your thoughts and opinions on a particular house guest. But first, let's talk about this elaborate plan that played out. Yesterday's update, we finished with Cameron winning HOH at the end of the episode. We saw him kind of formulating his plan of attack. Blue and Jag. Just a repeat of his previous HOH. Let's run it back, put them on up. And he told pretty much everybody this. Even Blue to her face that, hey, listen, you're not my target, but I need you to play in the veto. Which pretty much implies she was going to be his initial nominee. This morning, he doubled down, even with Bowie. So Bowie, he told the other night that he was planning to put on Blue and Jag. Yesterday morning, he doubles down with Bowie and says, yeah, Blue and Jag are my target. America would be the potential renom. And if there's anyone in the house that we could go, oh, Cameron can trust this person, it's Bowie, since she was also blindsided with the red vote along with him. So again, if there's anyone he feels he can trust, it should be her. She should be the one that's getting the real information. And that was a good indication on how his plan was going to move forward. The first indication that something was up was when he met with Jag. So he talked with Jag, and for the most part, he stayed very silent. He let Jag do all of the talking, which is a common Cameron thing where he'll just kind of let you spill your guts to him and just keep talking, and he'll just keep his mouth shut and listen. Which I'll be honest, a lot of times in Big Brother, that's a good strategy. Keep your mouth shut, keep your ears open. You're gonna do better if you listen more than you talk. And eventually, Jag kind of got everything off his chest, and Cam said, "Okay, are you done? Good. I don't trust you at all." And it was like very blunt. It was great. It was like, damn, did he just say that? But he has a deal for him. He says, listen, everyone wants me to put you and Blue up on the block. I want to put you and Blue up on the block. But if I keep you off the block, can you guarantee me safety for next week? Complete safety? No renom, no nothing. Jag, of course, is happy to do this. And he says, one more thing. If I hear about it at all, if you talk to anybody about this and it gets back to me, deal's off. They shake on it. They hug on it. It seems like, okay, Jag just cut a deal to keep himself safe. Why would he do that? If he's just going to nominate Jag, he's already told everybody that Jag's going up. Is this a new thing? Well, Cameron, he pulled off maybe the biggest blindside we've ever seen. He said, you know what? I see your blindside of red. I'm going to raise you too. He nominates Felicia and Izzy for the nomination block. What? Like, this was a thing where it's like, we were all kind of hoping like, oh man, I hope he takes a shot. I hope he does something big. Why play it safe, right? And I almost could see his thought process with it too, where he's like, look, I just got to win out at this point. It was what he told Blue. He said, I know I'm alone in this game, and if I want to stay, I got to win every single competition. And with the idea of like, okay, he just wants to get Jag out of the house, that's just one less good competitor for him to compete against in these upcoming competitions. So I could see kind of his reasoning for it. I don't know if it necessarily was a good strategy or not, and I still think like, okay, like I think you should take a bigger shot, but I can see his reasoning for it And I didn't think it was a terrible idea to just be like, look, when you're alone, just go for it. So I also didn't think he would be this brilliant, because what he's done here is he blindsided not just all of us, but the entire house. He sent them into a huge scramble. And I'm so excited to see the nominations on tomorrow's episode for two reasons. One, because it sounds like he had one of the best speeches ever. He basically went on to say something along the lines of, here, let me kind of read what I was able to gather. He did a couple like renditions of it, but basically he talked about, you two have been way too comfortable. You two were aligned with two guys in this house who are no longer here, Red and Hisam, and you turned on them. Who was a coincidence? I'm not going to be the third one in a pattern. And that's a hell of a speech right there to give to Felicia and Izzy. The other reason why I think this is going to be a fun nomination is there was a bit of an old school flair to this with a Humiliverse twist. So it is Humiliverse week where everything's supposed to be humiliating. So what they did was, instead of the keys that are just turned in a box, they went a little bit old school, where they went one at a time saying who was safe. And if you were safe, you got a pie in the face. So they went silly with it, but it gives that drama where it's like, oh, okay, so this person's safe and this person's safe. Wait a minute, Jag is safe? And everyone lost their minds. They're like, wait, what? Wait, why is Jag safe? What's going on? America was one of the last ones to get a pie in her face before it was Felicia and Izzy being the last two with no pies and being the ones on the block this week. I'm so excited to see this. Like, I'm pumped. Like, I know it's going to be silly. They're going to make it with the pies. But this might end up being like, if it didn't have the pies and it was just the key wheel, this might have gone down as like the best nomination ceremony in Big Brother history. But they're probably going to make it silly, and it's probably going to take it away from the impact that it's going to have. But if this was like old school BB with the key wheel and everything, hands down, I have a feeling this would end up going as one of the best nomination ceremonies we've ever had. And it's literally that. It's just a nomination ceremony. So now that we have that to talk about, let's talk about how the house reacted to this. Because, of course, it was set ablaze. Cam went and told each of them, Izzy and Felicia, that the other was the target. Cory and America are thrilled that they're not on the block, because America, too, she was kind of starting to sweat there when she was one of the last three there without a pie in her face. Both are very excited because that they believe at this point they've made jury. Izzy is spiraling. She was late at night, like crying. Cirie had to like comfort her multiple times. People are trying to tell her like, hey, like, you know, relax, you'll be fine. She's talked about how she wasn't going to use the veto. And then Cory had to like talk her down from this. He's like, well, hey, listen, like, think about this. So that's a possibility. Felicia went immediately to Cameron and basically was throwing Cirie and Izzy under the bus. She's like, well, so why me over someone like Cirie? Like, what's going on? Like, she was just as much a part. They were the ones telling me stuff about Red. Like, well, I don't know why I have to be sitting on the block. Also, there's a lot of thought that this is only the beginning and that the real plan is for Cirie to be the replacement nominee, especially since Cameron told Jared this is step 3. Step 4 is coming. And it seems likely that if there has to be a replacement nominee, it would be Cirie. Cameron, listen, buddy, I know there's lots of people that have some issues with you, and I think we might have to clear some of that up in a bit here. But you're playing with those big cojones right now. Like, you got some guts, pal. And let me tell you, like, I love it. This season, it just keeps on giving. The moment we think that this season's going to be boring for a week, nope. They turn up and they flip, they flop, they do the craziest things. And if you are not enjoying this season, I don't know what to tell you. You might not like Big Brother. Like, this has been wonderful. And yes, I know there's things like the Cirie and Jared twist, which kind of puts a little bit of a taint on the whole thing with the secret mom and son stuff. But man, this season is just giving and giving, and it doesn't stop. We still have more things to go over, because one of the best parts about this is, since Cameron didn't tell anyone what he was going to be doing, everyone thinks that someone knew, right? Like, they're all paranoid about who knew what. It's like, wait a minute, like, you didn't know anything? Like, Jag had made a deal, so he's just caused so much chaos in the house. It's brilliant. I love it. Everything about these nominations, bravo. Bravo, Cameron. This was a hell of a move. This was a hell of a move, because he could have just went and gone, you know what? Yeah, listen, guys, I'm throwing up Izzy and I'm throwing up Felicia. But what he did was cause all this comfort. And then as soon as he dropped that bomb, people are like, wait a minute, who threw us under the bus? Why did it change from Blue and Jag? What's happening here? Who made this happen? Someone must have told him something. But I really think this was all the plan from the very beginning. I think he full on went with this. We know he had dropped a little bit of seeds in previous weeks, even just last week to Jared, saying, hey, like, we know there's kind of this three-headed monster, right? Like, we have to be careful about this. He'd been talking about going after Izzy with Red for the longest time, but they kind of talked themselves out of it. They were like, we got Legend 25. He ended up meeting with Matt, and they said, F Legend 25. The only ones he cares about in there are Matt and Bowie. He also trusts Jared, but once again, Cameron might be the smartest person in the house right now, because he's realized word keeps getting around somewhere. So what's he going to do now? He's not telling anybody anything unless they need to know. And right now, you don't need to know. So he's being very tight-lipped with everything. And honestly, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. He's got nothing to lose, and he's just going in there and he's playing hard. And I love it. I love it. It's just amazing. Now, the other kind of cool, interesting things we got were people starting to talk about what would happen if nominations stayed the same. What would happen if Cirie ended up on the block? So Matt was having a lot of these conversations, and he met with Bowie, because again, that seems like somebody who, Cameron trusts, who Matt seems to have a pretty good relationship as well. And he kind of says, listen, if Izzy ends up going, it's going to be best for them, because not only is she just really strong in competition, she's smart, she's close with Cory in America, he's also close with Cirie. And if she's gone, that brings them closer to Cirie, being Matt and Bowie. We then also had Matt and Jag having a little conversation, and they did a couple of things here. One, Matt talked about how Cameron wanted to do this 5, right, with Matt, Bowie, Jag, or actually, no, it was Bowie who wanted to do the 5. It was Bowie, Matt, Jag, and then Cam and Cirie. But they were also talking about the vote. And they said, listen, if they can find a way to get rid of Izzy, they should probably do it. But if it ended up being Cirie who went up with Izzy, if Felicia won veto, it might be smart to take that shot before jury. Now, this was Jag who said it. It wasn't Matt who said it, but he kind of went along with it. And I'm hoping that Jag is able to get away with this, and Matt isn't going to just run to Cirie and tell her. Seems like he tells her a lot and pretty much tells her everything. So we'll see if maybe this ends up biting Jag in the butt. But also at this point, with Cameron in charge, and depending on how veto ends up going, Cirie might be in trouble. And on top of that, if it ends up being Cirie and Izzy on the block, you're telling me she's not going to spill the beans? You're telling me she's not going to say, oh, by the way, guys, this person I'm sitting next to, she's a great woman and she's a mother. In fact, her son's right there. Like, you don't think that's going to happen? Now, Cirie also laid it on very thick. I mentioned how Izzy was crying late last night, and Cirie was kind of comforting her, you know, saying like, hey, don't cry. Like, what are you, like, we're going to do everything we can to keep you here. I will fight for you. I will make sure you stay because I know that you love doing this more than I love this. You're family now. You're a Fields. Because I think Cirie knows there's a chance that Cirie ends up on the block next to Izzy. And she wants to do everything she can to make sure Izzy zips it up and does not spill the beans. Cirie's also kind of implying that she would even kind of fall on the sword for Izzy. I don't think she would do that. She would do it for Jared, but she's not going to do it for Izzy. If anybody's watched The Traitors, you would know there were two people on The Traitors that were just your average people. Average people. I believe one of them was Quentin. The other, I want to say your name was Andy. And the two of them, they thought they were the best of friends with Cirie. And Cirie lied to them all the way to the end and took home that money. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how close you get to her, you are not her blood. You are not her family. She might be really caring for you afterwards. You might be the best of friends. But in this game, she's there to win. She's there to make sure her or Jared get the win. So Izzy, you better use that veto if you win it. And Izzy, you better spill the beans if you end up there with Cirie. I don't think there's a reason for her to spill the beans yet. If it's just Felicia up there, right? There actually seems like there's a good push to get Felicia out. Not only are just people like tired of it, but Felicia's also been like, oh yeah, I don't even like if I'm gonna go home, like send me home now. I don't want to sit in jury for 10 weeks. Which people aren't really happy there, but they're like, all right, well, if you want to go home, why don't we just send you home? But I think anytime somebody wants to go home, you keep them. And it would be way better to get Izzy out of the house. But I don't think she would spill the beans if it's just her and Felicia up on the block. Maybe if she really feels at the end that like there's a really good chance she'll go, maybe she spills it to Cory and they can kind of figure out how to play this. But I don't think she'll do it unless it ends up being her and Cirie on the block. Now, I mentioned that there was something I want to talk about that might change your opinion on a house guest. And I know I've kind of been talking up a lot about how brilliant this move was, and I don't want you guys to think, well, oh, Ori, you just like him now because he's made this brilliant move. No, I have some reasoning on why I think this, but it's also just speculation. And I think you guys know how much I hate to speculate on this stuff, but the more I see, the more it's starting to add up. And I don't think I'm the only one who's noticed this, and I actually want to see what you guys think on this, because I think what might be going on is a little bit of miscommunication, but also intentional misleading of two individuals. All right, what am I talking about? Cameron and America. Now listen, I was one of the first ones to kind of point out there was something going on with Cameron and America. I didn't know exactly what it was, but there was the meeting that Jag and America had in the bathroom. I believe it was right after Jag was saved that night. And he would have been evicted, but he was still in the house. And I really wanted to see that America and Jag conversation because she was the only one who was telling him beforehand, like, hey, they're voting you out. They're lying to you. Like, get your head in the game. And he didn't want to listen. So I was really interested to see that conversation. And I remember during that conversation, she started to talk about Cameron. The feeds cut away. And when they came back, she was very teary-eyed about something. And I was like, that just seemed off. Like, I don't know what exactly was going on, but it seemed like something about Cameron was making her upset. And didn't really understand why, because I didn't see anything. Like we all kind of know there was the thing with Cameron and Reilly, and he was like, oh, you kind of remind me of my daughter. And yeah, we all thought that was kind of weird, but again, like I don't think it was too crazy, right? It was just kind of like weird in a funny way. Like, what? Like, dude, like that's kind of, yeah, it's a thing. And I think what ended up happening here is America, she's a flirty girl. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. It's just how she jokes around. And in fact, I've known many girls like her that I'm very good friends with, and there's nothing, you know, romantic at all in that way, but we'll joke around that way because we're comfortable with each other that way. And I think America is the type of girl who's very comfortable with those kind of jokes. And I think what might have been happening here is obviously America, she flirts with Cory. That's the real stuff. But she does it with Jag, right? Where like even during that Jag conversation, she was like, oh, let's make out, right? Just playing around. They're jokes, right? And I think she would do this with a lot of different people in the house, especially people she kind of gets along with. And I think Cameron at first was one of these people. But I think what happened along the way is people started to get in her ear that Cameron feels some type of way about it and has more feelings than he would let on. Because the only other time that I heard America say something that Cameron said or actually did that potentially would make her feel uncomfortable is there was a conversation about jury. I forget the full context of it, but it was along the lines of, oh, he was having jury thoughts about America and like things they could do in jury because there wouldn't be cameras around. And it felt like that kind of made America uncomfortable. But in this new little theory that I have that maybe people are putting it in her head that Cameron had these extra kind of feelings for her, you could see where a joke like that normally would just be banter back and forth could then make America feel uncomfortable that, hey, maybe I'm leading him on and maybe he thinks there's more to this and I'm not, like I'm just joking around, which is totally valid, but maybe misled and not exactly what the real context of that conversation would be if it was just two friends playing around. And I cannot confirm any of this. I really can't. But America could also just be trying to save herself and trying to pretend with Cameron that she gets along. But when you watch her conversations with him now, especially other stuff today after the nominations, because if she was really trying to save herself, she would have been acting this way with him beforehand. But it feels like this is now her actually understanding, like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe what people have been saying about him isn't exactly true. And that was a little bit of a seed that was planted in the conversation that America and Cory had up in the HOH room, where they did kind of say, like, hey, yeah, people are saying lots of stuff about both of us, so why are we listening to all of it? And it feels like the way she acts with him now isn't someone that's uncomfortable, but somebody who it's like, okay, you know, I can be more friendly with you and I could talk to you more, because it felt like she had to kind of distance herself. Again, a lot of this is speculation. I cannot confirm anything for sure. And if there's things that maybe have been said or that have been caught on the feeds that Cameron has done, other than those two things I mentioned, saying that Reilly reminded him of his daughter, which again was kind of weird, and it did kind of seem like it was just a weird thing, right? And America may be feeling uncomfortable about stuff. What else has he done? Like, it's an honest question, because I don't know if I can really point to anything else that really makes him creepy, other than some of the things the other house guests are saying. And to me, just putting some of the pieces together, and again, I hate to speculate on these things, it feels like it was a disinformation campaign where they were kind of putting out this false narrative to make Cameron and America kind of go apart because they saw they were too close. Again, I can't confirm any of this, and if any of you have like specific stuff, like if you have timestamps, like don't just come in the comments and say, oh, but he did this, and oh, he said this, and oh, he did that. Like, I need evidence, right? Like for me, I need to be able to see it myself because we can only take so much from first-hand information. And I know that's weird coming from a guy who tells you what they watched in the feeds. But as someone who is in that position, I don't like to just go off of, well, he said this and she said that. When I do these updates, I watch everything I update you about. If I didn't see it, I usually don't talk about it. If I hear something happened, I go back on the feeds, I watch it, and then I report it to you guys. So if there's not like hard evidence of this stuff, I don't know. Why do we think Cameron is so creepy anymore? It's just a question I want to put out there, and I'm not trying to change your mind on anybody. But maybe if you take some of this into account, what do you guys think? I honestly just really want to know, because a lot of it isn't really adding up to me anymore. And I want to know your guys' thoughts on it. But other than that, what do you think of this crazy day? Cameron's big move. Will Cirie end up being a replacement if veto is used? Would you like to see Cirie go up as the replacement if the veto is used? Let me know everything in the comments down below. Who do you think would be leaving this week if nominations stayed the same? And also, who do you think would be leaving this week if Cirie ended up on the block next to either one of them? Let me know all of that down in the comments down below. I want to thank you guys all again so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, smash that like button, hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button. I just want to thank you all so much for all the support you show me here on this channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. I try and get to as many of the comments as I can, but as things kind of develop here on this channel, it gets harder and harder to do that every day. But thank you guys again so much for watching. And oh, also check out the links to all my descriptions, all my socials in the description down below, pinned comment as well. Kick, Twitch, Twitter, Discord. The Discord's been really great. We've been having a lot of great conversations over there. So make sure you check that out as well. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you next time.